Now, some people think that that's the Bible's way of saying it's okay to drink. It teaches the exact opposite. If it was okay, Paul wouldn't have to tell Timothy to do it. Timothy wouldn't do it. So his spiritual father says, Timothy, it will calm your stomach down. It will take care of that sour belly. Take a little. That's the NyQuil verse. If you've had NyQuil, you've had alcohol. Jack Daniels does not put out a brand of NyQuil, so it's but two different things. And you see this, and I've studied the medical, and I've studied this, that, and the other. And is it true that red wine does something good for the heart? That is true. There is a certain amount that for some people that would help. Interestingly enough, we've given two exceptions. Both of them have been for medicinal purposes. And according to the statistics, and I'm no doctor, I don't want to practice without a license, but according to the statistics, aspirin will do the very same thing that red wine will do. Thin your blood, take care of it. One of the aspects of red wine. And another guy said, it's sort of funny, if red wine was so great, why aren't we giving it to our kids? So they can have strong hearts. I mean, we've been duped a little bit. We've been duped by the forbidders, and we've been duped by the distributors. If I say the word Busch, you're more likely to think of Gardens and Stadium than you are beer. Now, I don't know if the people at Busch sit back and say, how can we buy things so that people won't think of us as a company that serves alcohol? I don't know that they think that. I don't know. When I think of Coors, I think of the mountains of Colorado. I don't think of stepdads that beat my mom up. I am saying this. I will give those companies benefit of the doubt saying they're not meeting privately, but I will say this. They are trying to deceive us with their ads. Yeah. If you think they're not, you haven't watched TV. Yeah. And if you haven't watched TV, God bless you. You ain't hurting yourself. If you watch TV and you made your decision on TV, you think the way to get a six-pack in your belly, you know, muscles, ripples, is by drinking beer. Because everybody that drinks beer is skinny, and they have lots of girlfriends, and they're all really pretty. The statistics say for every dollar, some statistics say for every dollar alcohol industry spends on trying to help underage teenagers, they cost us $4 for what they do to teenagers. The statistics say that 50% of the patients in hospitals wouldn't be there if there were no alcohol. One doctor said they'd have to close wings. Some would go out of business if people stopped drinking. So I'm trying to balance this and juggle this a little bit so we understand what's happening here. This is all introductory. Matthew 11. They didn't like John the Baptist, they didn't like Jesus, and Jesus calls them on it. He says, you guys are playing a game with us, a very dangerous game. This is Matthew 11, 13 through 19. Let's listen to this. He's talking about how great John was and how great John the Baptist, that he came in the spirit of Elijah, and he was the prophetic answer to Malachi 3:1. And he says, for all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. John was the last. He was the hinge. He was the one that would be the last until the Messiah would come. And if you are willing to receive it, he is the Elijah to come, Jesus said. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And notice the indictment Jesus gives on the religious leaders and the religious climate of his day. But to what shall I liken this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplaces calling to their companions. Little children playing children's games on the street. Saying, we played the flute for you and you didn't dance. Let's have a little play. Kids have a little play. We'll play the flute. You know how kids do that. We mourned for you and you didn't lament. They're having dances. They're having funerals. They're playing little games. And Jesus says, that's what this generation's like. They don't take anything serious. They haven't taken John serious. They haven't taken me serious. They're able to dismiss everybody. And notice his conclusion. It's fascinating to me. For John, Jesus said, for John came neither eating nor drinking, and you say he has a demon. The guy's clean as a whistle, and your only conclusion is he's a demon, a demonic man. I have come, the Son of Man came, eating and drinking, and you say of me, I am a glutton and a wine-bibber. I'm a drinker of wine and a glutton, a friend to tax collectors and sinners. I love the last line. He says this, but wisdom is vindicated by her children. The ultimate issue of our faith, of the gospel, and of the kingdom is, what is produced by your life? What are you producing? And I dare say, and again, I'm not trying to be shock value here, I dare say that there are probably Christians in Italy that probably have wine at their mealtime that are godlier husbands than I am. And you are. Better fathers than you and I are. More faithful to their church than we are. You see my dilemma? I hate it. It's dangerous. You'd be better off letting snakes loose in your house than keeping beer and alcohol in your house, in my opinion. That's how dangerous it is. Because there's a good chance it's going to bite. It's not going to lick you. A snake will not lick you. And you'll see in the Proverbs, a snake is a good illustration. But I do not want to reduce it down to so much and to say this, I don't drink. Well, are you a good husband? Are you a good father? Are you a godly man? We have to ask more questions. What are you producing in your life? Wisdom is vindicated or justified by her children. Let me get to Proverbs where you are. What are the main factors and forces that influence us about alcohol? The culture. The culture is personal and historical. I gave you two. I gave you one from Kazakhstan that's a bit confusing, and I gave you one from my own upbringing. The concerns of our city, state, and nation. Alcohol is the number one drug of choice for teenagers. Something interesting about alcohol is alcohol among teenagers is not something they dabble in. The statistics say, and I know that because I lived it, 16 to 22 before I was saved, I'm in everything that those statistics say. They dabble with it, and then teenagers do not play with alcohol. They usually use it in excess. And you will hear them say something like this. They'll talk to their buddies, and I've been there, and this shows you the deceptiveness of it. They'll say to their buddies, I got wasted last night. Now that sounds like a bad thing. But they're bragging. Man, I got drunk. And you want to say, we took a video of you. We think you're going to win the world's biggest idiot award. You know? People say they drink because they're thirsty. Alcohol dehydrates you. Alcohol actually causes you to be thirstier. I mean, these are the facts. Somebody's going to call me legalistic, and somebody's going to say, I bet that guy's got beer at his house. I'm probably going to, all of you are going to be mad at me. State of Tennessee says 0.08. If you have alcohol content of 0.08, you're going to be arrested. Did you know they didn't call the church to come up with that number? Do you know it's not a bunch of right-wing fundamental conspirators that persuaded the state of Tennessee to do that? It has nothing to do... You know it didn't come out of the Bible? Secular men... No, we have Christians that are out there, but this wasn't a church decision. The world says it's dangerous. And it's tragic enough when our kids are dying when they drink. How about when other kids are dying and they haven't drank at all? Everybody's a victim. One of my dearest friends of my life, one of the most influential men in my life. If I had to name 5 most influential men, this fellow would probably make that cut. Going through a tough spell in his life. Didn't call me or anybody else. He called me in the past. Decided to go to a bar late at night. He was frustrated. He was angry, tired. Left that bar, hit another car, and killed that man. He'll never be. Neither one of those guys will ever be the same again. That's how quick things can happen. So the court called it manslaughter. I don't know what he calls it. So all I'm trying to say is this isn't even a church issue only, it's a society issue. Godliest man that ever lived couldn't handle his alcohol. His name was Noah. Godliest man on the planet. bar none. You can't argue with me. I can take you back and show you he was the godliest man on the planet, saw the flood, got through it, planted a vineyard, drank too much. First drunk in the Bible, Noah. Sorry, Noah, it's just on your resume. Proverbs 23, let's begin in verse 19. Hear, my son, and be wise. Guide your heart in the way. Do not mix with winebibbers or with gluttonous eaters of meat. For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. Jump to verse 29. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions?